Hello, so today I'm going to talk about how to use Discovery Ed Textbook in parallel with the Schoology platform, which is our learning management system here in the district. You can access this PowerPoint using this tinyurl.com. Alright, so our essential question is, how can I integrate the two platforms, Schoology and the Discovery Ed Textbook? We're going to go over these 5 different items. So folder organization, assignment creation, assignment organization, assessments, and video manipulation. So again, folder organization, that's however you want to have it. But one way you could do this, and one way I found it successful, was to have my Schoology folders mirror my Discovery Ed folders. So in Discovery Ed, they look like this. So they have pictures and they have units, and right under those units they have the unit name. So I did the same thing in Schoology. I had the same exact pictures in the units. Now all I did for that was, when I was in Discovery, and they did change their platform a little bit since I made this PowerPoint, but if I go in to one of these, all you have to do is you can just click on the picture, press Control, click on the picture, save image as, save, and then when you're in Schoology, let's say you add a folder, so you would go to add, you're in one of your courses, first of all, let me back up. Okay, you're in one of your courses, then you go to add materials, add folder, unit 1, and then you're going to insert content, image, attach file, and I had just saved this, open, and it pops up like this. So it has that same look to it. So as you can see, that came up exactly as it looks in the Discovery Ed. And I would name this relationships among organisms. Okay. But that's just personal preference. It did seem to be helpful for the kids to have that same look. Now the folder organization within concepts, so that was a unit. So then within those units, Discovery Ed puts concepts. So if we go back here, you can see that the unit is organism relationships, and then concepts are these 4. So relationships among organisms is a concept. And when you click on that concept, you can see that there's the 5 E's in your model lesson. But what I like to do in my Schoology is to actually have the essential questions right underneath the concept. So I make my unit and then I put my concept folders just like this, so the concepts, and then to have those essential questions follow along. So how do I find those essential questions? I just go to evaluate, and then they're right here. So I just copy and paste right back into Schoology. Again, it's one more step, but it's very useful for the kids so they can see those essential questions and where you're going right away. Alright, next item is going to be assignment creation. So let's say we want to create an assignment. What we're going to do is we would be, first off, it's your choice if you want to make your assignments or assessments in your courses first or in resources. I find it important to make them in resources and then extend them out. Some people like to go the other way though. Today I'm going to show you just for my course first, because there's some other things you can do while you're in the course than your resources. So if I want to make an assignment, I would go to add materials, add an assignment. As you can see, there's all these different items you can do. We're just going to talk about add assignment and add test and quiz today. So add an assignment, and let's just call this assignment 1. And then you would put your description here. And this is usually where I actually put directions on what exactly they have to do. So click on link below, and then we'll see what the assignment is and put the rest of the directions. You can do this several different ways. So in Discovery, some assignments will actually be saved Word files, so you'll want to use this sometimes, so this file option, and save it on your computer. Sometimes you might just want to use the link. Other times you might save it into your resource folder in Schoology, or let's say you want to get something off Google Docs. You would go down to this part that says Apps, Google Drive, and then you could connect to, through your Google Drive that way. Audio, video recording, and external tools. You can put your due dates here. So let's say I want it due on Wednesday the 17th. You can make it as many points as you want. We'll say 100. And you can make different categories, which you can just set up right away. So we'll say it's an activity. And then scalar rubric, you could use SVSD secondary. And there's all these different options down here. So right here, if you do individually assigned, that means you've created groups or something like that. Assign learning objectives, you can actually go in and set your standards. So state standards, and you can go to Colorado right up here, academic standards. This would be science. This is 6th grade, and you just kind of go through. And this is absolutely not the standard for this, but let's say I want to do that, and I'd add that objective, and it just pops up, which is pretty neat. You can also lock the assignment so that they can or can't get in. And submissions enabled, and then there's a couple other options that you can play with, comments enabled, and so on, copy to courses. So let's say we want to add our first assignment using the file option. So if I go back into Discovery, and just to reference ourselves again, if I'm in the tech book, let's say I want to use organism relationships, and I choose just this first concept, relationships among organisms, view the concept here, and then I would click on the model lesson. And as a teacher, I would look through the lesson overview, teacher preparation, and then so on, sessions. After I've done that, I'll go to the assignments and resources at the end. And this is where you're going to get the bulk of worksheets and explorations, virtual labs, items like that. So let's say we want this first assignment right here. I would click on it. And it has our questions, our directions, and lots of different video segments and things like that for students. So let's say I want it how it is and I don't want to change it all. I would go to Save as MS Word. So I would click there, Save File, Relationships Among Organisms, Assignment 1. And it just saved in my downloads. Now I'd go back into Schoology, and I go to this File option, and I would just go to Downloads because I just downloaded it, and Relationships Among Organisms. Press Open. And now it's uploaded. Okay, so now let's say we want to add a link. I would click on this link here and go back into Discovery. So we liked that assignment, but let's say we want this video segment, octopus. So if I open that, and I think I've watched it, viewed it, I think it's great, I will go to More and Share. So I found the More over here and go to Share. It will give you this URL to copy, so I'm just going to copy that, Command C, and then I'm going to go back into Schoology and embed the link here and call it Octopus Video. Attach. So now I have that link. And then you could use the others just the same way. So then if I press Save Changes, my assignment's ready. So as you can see, when we added that learning objective earlier, and you can see the directions which we didn't complete. And if you ever want to edit it, you would just go to this widget, edit. And remember, since we didn't make this in our resources, it's really important after you make it to save to resources. You can also open it up, and this is what the assignment looks like. So the directions would be here, and here's our doc that they could upload into their Google Docs and complete, and their video to watch. All right, I think that's it with assignments. That is how you create them, at least. Now, let's say you're interested in making them so you have to get one done before the other. So right here in this Unit 4, Where Organisms Live folder, so I'm going to click there. And then we're going to go into Concept 2, Terrestrial Biomes. As you can see, I have my essential questions. Let's say what I want to have is when the students take this pre-quiz, if they pass it, this opens up. So how would I make that possible? So if they don't pass it, they cannot do these projects. They'd have to actually do all of these assignments in this folder. So you would go to Options, Student Completion, and now you want to make sure to check off this. So requirements must be completed in sequential order. And what I have is that they have this Terrestrial Biomes pre-quiz. Click there. And they need to get a 10 out of 10 for this to open the projects. And then member must make a submission to complete that. So save those changes. Now, if they didn't get a 10 out of 10, this won't open, so that I would know, because I would share this in class, that they need to go into this assignments folder. So they would open this, and this is a great way for individualized learning. So once they get in here, then they have to do these assignments. Now let's say I want these to open in sequential order as well. So I would go to Options, Student Completion, and I did the same thing here. So I clicked on this. Requirements must be completed in sequential order. And then for assignment 1, they need to make a submission for this to open, and so on. And then assignment 3 and assignment 4. Save changes. So as the students are completing their assignments or folders or whatever you put as student completion, the uncompleted will be, or not open assignments will be gray, and then as they finish through, they will open up and turn blue like this. Okay, so we went through assignment creation, and here was the example, and we went through how to do that. So assignment organization, all I'm saying here is to have very similar names, because when they're submitting back to Schoology from completing an assignment in Google Docs or maybe Notability, you're going to want to have very clear titles. So they know they're in Concept 2, they know what assignment it is, and then the title. I showed you how to do a completion assignments and folders. So go to the student completion and so on. You can make it score at least, make a submission. There was also an option if you get into discussions about they need to post a reply or a comment and just viewing the item. All right, now next is assessments. So here's my example assessment, which is a multiple choice. You can add standards, which is very useful. You can have A, B, C, D. There's many different types of assessments you can do. You can do multiple choice, you can do essay, fill in the blank, matching, and we'll go into that now. So if we head back to our very front page, so this is the course I'm making it in, I would go to Add Materials, Add Test or Quiz. We would name it, let's say Test 1, due date, say the 16th, category, assessments. And you can make those categories as you go along. So create a new category, SVSD secondary for the scale. And same thing, individually assign. Maybe you have a group of kids, and so on. Create. Now, this is where you can add questions. And this can be a true-false question, multiple choice, ordering, and as you can see, the rest. Settings is where you're going to actually get into how many attempts they have. Is it resumable? You can actually preview your test. You can see the results of how your students do and any comments that they left for you. So, in Discovery, if we go to our science textbook, and we're back in this organism relationships, view unit, let's say we want to just copy from their unit assessment. So I would go to unit assessment, and here are the questions within the unit assessment. So all I've done is literally just copy, Command C, question 2, go into Schoology, add oops, not true and false. So we're going to cancel that. Add multiple choice question, like so. And then I would add these answers down here. Yes, and it takes a little bit of time. You could also put in some of your own, but it's truly just copy and pasting into it. And then it's the same thing with those questions with images. All I've done is, if I like a question, let's see, with a picture, I can just copy and paste that, copy image, and then go in here, usually works, and paste. And that image just shows up. You can say what the correct answer is. Randomized choices, allow partial credit, and so on. And then you would actually create your question. Now, let's say in settings, let's say we're completely done, and we were done with this. Then you would go into settings. And I always put my instructions in here. So, 1, please read every question carefully, and so on. So you can set the number of attempts they want. So maybe I allow attempts, and maybe I don't. Okay. Time limit, randomize order. Question review is really nice because it has the students, after they press submit, they actually have to go back through again. All of the questions turn blue. Doesn't say what's right or wrong, but they have to go through again, take the time to review them. Resumable is really important because sometimes Wi-Fi goes out and they've answered so many, and then Wi-Fi goes out and then they won't have lost their question. So I always do that. And view submissions, you could do it with yes or yes with correct answers. So yes is just they see what they answered, and then yes with correct answers to see what they answered and then which ones were correct or not. And we're going to save changes, and then you can preview. Let's say we previewed on this button and we didn't like it. You want to go in and edit. You can edit that way. Now, something that you can add on to this, you can add images or links or different items like that. Something really neat is showing the feedback. So if I go to this show feedback, this is where you can do it individually for each one, but if I just want the same generic feedback for all incorrect responses, I could say incorrect, please watch this video. Okay, and then I could put a link to a video or something. Correct, and then you could explain why it's correct here, and then that would all filter through on these when they go in. So that's a really nice way of for the students to get individual feedback on each one. Also, like I had said before, if you go to options and add a learning objective, you'll actually be able to see how the students master the objectives throughout the year, which is very useful for summative assessments. So if I go in and I add one of these and I save, and then I have my objective linked, the questions, and so on. Again, this is just random questions and pictures that I'm pulling from random places, but that's what it would look like. Then let's say I'm completely done, the student took the test and so on. I could go on to Mastery, and this is actually going to show what my students received. So I have these objectives linked in my assessment, okay, or in those different activities, and you can actually see if they successfully mastered that objective. All right, now let's go back to the PowerPoint. And again, I just wanted to remind you, you can do way more than just doing those multiple choice. You can do matching and other things like that. And here's that standards and mastery, so you can see if they get a dark green, they truly mastered it. Light, no. Pink is they did not. They're underachieving. All right. Last but not least is video manipulation. So as you go through Discovery, this doesn't necessarily have to do with Schoology specifically, but maybe you want a video from Discovery to insert with that link I showed you, how to insert a link. But you don't want the full Discovery video. You could go to Edpuzzle, it's free, and you can manipulate the video. So I did that on here, and you can trim the video, you can add questions, you can add audio notes, and different links as well in there. So you can insert that into Schoology, so I have to watch that instead of just the plain video that they give you. All right. I hope you have learned from my screencast today, and if you ever have any questions, you can email me at mills_Anna@svvsd.org, and I am available for helping you. All right, thank you.